What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Michael Conlan versus Miguel Marriaga. And this is going to be a 12-rounder in the featherweight division, and this fight is going to be Saturday, August 6th, from the SSE Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And this fight is going to be broadcasted on ESPN Plus in the United States. And to get both fighters' resumes, Michael Conlan, fighting out of Ireland, holds a record of 16 wins with 1 defeat and 8 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 19 by BoxRec in the featherweight division. He's also the former interim WBA featherweight world champion. And to get into his wins and losses, his one and only loss came in his last fight, where he lost by brutal knockout to Leigh Wood, and that was for the WBA featherweight world title. And it was one of the best fights of 2022 so far. But to list some of his best victories, he has a unanimous decision win over Jason Cunningham, a knockout win over Diego Alberto Ruiz. He has a unanimous decision victory over Vladimir Nikitin. He also has a knockout win over Sofiane Takush. He also has a majority decision victory over Ionut Baluta. And in his most recent victory, that's where he won his interim WBA title, but obviously interim WBA titles are gone, but that's where he was able to defeat TJ Delhany by unanimous decision, and that was literally just a year ago in August of 2021. But to get his opponent's resume, Miguel Marriaga, fighting out of Colombia, holds a record of 30 wins with 5 losses and 26 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 79 by BoxRec in the featherweight division. He's also a 3-time world title challenger. He challenged for Vasyl Lomachenko's WBO super featherweight strap. He challenged for Nicholas Walters' WBA, I think it was just the featherweight belt, and he also challenged for Oscar Valdez. I think it was at featherweight. I think it was for the WBO title that Valdez did have at the time. But just to get into all of his losses, I mean, as I mentioned before, he challenged for 3 world titles, all unsuccessful, as he lost by unanimous decision to Nicholas Walters, lost by unanimous decision to Oscar Valdez, and lost by knockout to Vasyl Lomachenko. But in his most recent defeats, he lost to Joel Gonzalez by unanimous decision. And Joel Gonzalez, I mean, he's definitely a very solid contender, so I mean, it was pretty much expected. And he also lost to Eduardo Ramirez by wide unanimous decision as well, and Ramirez is also a very, very solid fighter. So the thing with Marriaga, I mean, he fights, there are a lot of the top-tier guys he faces, like in all of his losses. He really just loses, and Michael Conlan is one of those guys that's around that ranking area of who he loses to, especially in his last 2 fights. But to just list some of Marriaga's best wins, he has defeated Guy Robb by knockout. He's defeated Eduardo Montoya by knockout. Ruben Cervera by knockout. He's defeated Alfredo Mejia Vargas by knockout. He's knocked out Jorge Garcia Jimenez, and that really goes for some of his best wins. But in my opinion, this fight is really easy to predict. It's definitely going to go in favor of Michael Conlan. Conlan is a very well-established fighter, very well-skilled, very technical, very good fighter. In his last fight against Leigh Wood, he was winning the fight until he was just getting, he got knocked out cold out of the ring. That's what led to him losing that fight, obviously. He was up on all 3 judges' scorecards. He was doing good early and in the first half. The second half, he started to tire, got dropped late in the 11th. Then in the 12th, just one punch put him out cold. So, I mean, that really was a tough loss for him because he could have won a world title, but he got knocked out in the last round. But I definitely think he's way better than Miguel Marriaga, and I really think this is just a nice showcase fight for him in front of his hometown fans in Ireland. He's just going to get a nice, easy victory. He's putting a lot of fans in the seats, I'm sure, at the SSE Arena. So it's just going to be a good night overall for him. And just to break this fight down round by round, I think that considering that Miguel Marriaga is very bad at fighting off the back foot, like fighting backwards, and since, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Marriaga is going to pose much of a threat to Conlan. Even though Marriaga has 26 knockouts and 30 wins, I mean, it's pretty much hard to say if Marriaga really has some solid power, because it's just like with Edgar Berlanga. Berlanga went 16-0, 16 knockouts, and then in his last 4 fights, he goes the distance against credible opponents. And the thing is, Marriaga hasn't really beaten much credible opponents. So, I mean, I honestly don't know if his power is 100% real, if he could really just knock out Conlan with one punch, but this is boxing, anything can happen. But, I mean, really, I don't think Marriaga is much of a threat, especially if he's on the back foot. So even though Conlan's known more as a traditional boxer, I think we're going to see him come forward a lot in this fight, put in a showcase for the fans, throw punches coming forward, and even off the back foot as well. I think we will see Conlan fight multiple styles. We'll see him counterpunch from the outside a lot. We'll see him come forward at some moments as well. And I really think he's going to dominate this fight. And I don't think it's going to be close. This is a 12-rounder, as I mentioned before. But I really think that Conlan's going to win almost every single round, if not every single round. I mean, I don't really think Marriaga throws much punches to be much of a threat to Conlan. I don't really think that his power could be necessarily real at the high level. And I really just don't think that Marriaga's style just matches up great with someone like Conlan. So I really think throughout the fight, we will see Michael Conlan counter-punching Miguel Marriaga. Like in the earlier rounds, like maybe in the first half, we could see Conlan counter-punching Marriaga pretty easily, up until Marriaga might lose some stamina, might get a bit more gassed in the second half, and we might see Conlan start to come forward a bit, unless it could be switched around, honestly. In the first half, actually, we might see Conlan step out on the gas pedal, throw a lot of punches coming forward. Then in the second half, he might tire a bit, just like in the Lee Wood fight, and then start to box with ease. But, I mean, either way, it's going to be a very easy, unanimous decision victory for Michael Conlan. Yes, I think this fight is going the distance, and I think that Conlan might win every single round. I mean, I think Miguel Marriaga might edge like a round that Conlan was like off in, like just a sort of round that he just took off just to give to Marriaga, like to regain stamina or something like that, not to lose too much throughout the fight. But I really think that Michael Conlan's going to win this fight fairly easily. And as I mentioned before, I think we will see him in the first half of the fight possibly come forward a lot, as opposed to fighting off the back foot, which he is used to. But then in the second half, we might see him start to die down on the pressure fighting. We might just start to see him box a bit on the outside. Because one thing with Marriaga, he does not fight good off the back foot. Like, he fights terribly off the back foot. So I think Conlan, who's not much of a threat of a guy like Marriaga, he's going to come forward a bit in this fight. But I think he's also going to do his trademark boxing in the second half and really just win almost every single round and get a pretty wide unanimous decision victory. So I think that the judges will score this bout 120 to 108 once, which is every single round for Conlan. And I think that the other two judges could score this bout 119 to 109, which is giving one round to Marriaga. So overall, I believe that Michael Conlan will defeat Miguel Marriaga by a wide, unanimous decision in this featherweight bout, and I think that the judges will score this bout 120 to 108 once, and 119 to 109 twice, all in favor of, obviously, Conlan to get a nice comeback victory in front of his hometown fans. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.